Good morning, teacher. My presentation, oral and genital ulcer in Behçet disease. Definition. Behçet syndrome, also called Behçet disease, is a rare disorder that causes inflammation on the blood vessels throughout the body. This syndrome can present numerous signs and symptoms that initially did not seem to be related. The symptoms include muscle inflammation on the eyes, rashes, and skin lesions and genital sores. Below video.
Behçet disease is a rare disorder, and most of the symptoms are thought to be a result of an autoimmune process involving the blood vessels, so it's a type of vasculitis. Among the family of disorders that cause vasculitis, Behçet's is fairly unique because it causes inflammation in the blood vessels of all sizes, small, medium, and large ones, on both the arterial and venous side of the circulation. The underlying cause of Behçet's is unknown, but there are a number of clues. The biggest clue is that the human leukocyte antigen, or HLA genes, seem to play a role, and this is based on the fact that having a specific type, the HLA B51 type, predisposes individuals to having Behçet disease. HLA genes encode proteins found on the surface of immune cells, and play a key role in regulation of those cells. And since the disease is a result of an autoimmune process, it makes sense that the HLA B51 proteins could be involved. Another clue is that an individual's response to viral and bacterial infections might be involved. For example, some individuals with Behçet's generate relatively high levels of antibodies to Helicobacter pylori, which might go on to damage blood vessel walls. And this is an example of molecular mimicry, where an antibody to a foreign pathogen starts to cross-react and damage the person's own tissue. Individuals with Behçet's also seem to have a weakened innate immune response, a higher proportion of autoreactive T cells, and activated neutrophils, which destroy healthy tissue. In summary, these clues span genetic and environmental factors, as well as both the innate and the adaptive immune system. When looking at the blood vessels in particular, the classic finding is seeing lymphocytes in the walls of the capillaries, veins, and arteries of all sizes, making them inflamed and boggy. Sometimes the inflammation can get so severe that the tissue around the vessel starts to die off completely. These changes make the endothelial lining more likely to develop blood clots or aneurysms. Since the inflammation is happening in blood vessels of all sizes throughout the body, people with Behçet's can develop a wide range of symptoms. Having said that, most people initially present with recurrent oral ulcers. Relative to aphthous ulcers, the oral ulcers of Behçet's disease can be larger, more painful, and take a few weeks to heal. Sometimes
And nursing application. Administer corticosteroids to reduce pain and inflammation. The patient is read during increase. Explain to the patient the importance of oral health, exploration and evolution on the oral cavity, adequate oral hygiene in the perineal area.
In this lecture, we're going to discuss infections of the upper airway in children. And specifically, we'll drill down on a few key examples of common infections that children can have in the upper airway. Let's start with the most anterior one, which is stomatitis. We see this a lot. This is generally an infection of the mouth and most commonly is caused by the HSV virus. Remember, HSV is ubiquitous in the population. 95% of us have had HSV of the anterior mouth. The first time you get it, it can be particularly severe because you haven't already made antibodies that can fight off the virus as it recurs and regenerates out of your nerves. So that first infection can be severe and the children won't want to eat, rendering them dehydrated and at risk for dehydration and not drinking, and so we sometimes have to admit them for care. It can also be caused by Coxsackie, which, as we know, causes hand, foot, and mouth disease, and in particular the mouth can be involved. Although usually Coxsackie virus lesions are more posterior and HSV virus lesions are more anterior. Very rarely it can be a fungal disease such as severe oral candidiasis. Typically we might be worried about the immune system and in particular the T cell function in these patients.
Pros and cons. Pros: the place where you live, sip, hennings, intestinal perforating. Cons: mug risk, physical activity when you have energy, disease can be controlled. Is being employed in Ecuador. They are considered indispensable diagnostic criteria. They are usually the manifestation initial in 70% of cases. They are painful variable size, with well-defined erythematous borders covered by angelous pseudomembrane, and they usually last 7 days. In conclusion, vector disease is considered a difficult diagnostic condition. The criteria for identification is not always present in calls. And thank you.